Hello and welcome to Kicking Tires. My name is Jimmy,
And I'm Justin.
and today is the last day in August of 2022. Can't believe it's summer's over, basically. But we got a lot of automotive news to kind of go through today. So let's dive right into it here. And I can't see where it is. There it is. First topic, Honda Civic Type R, the FL5. We already know most about the FL5, but there was kind of like two things we didn't know, the power figures as well as pricing. Unfortunately, the pricing hasn't been released, so we still don't know that, but we know about the power figures. 315 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. That's up 9 horsepower and 15 pound-feet from the FK8, so the last generation. It's not a lot. It's kind of what we expect, but I was reading the blurb. There's quite a bit of like under the hood kind of upgrades that they've done to make this a better performance vehicle. So let me just go over that real quick. There's better cooling thanks to bigger intercooler and bigger, oh, sorry, not a bigger intercooler, it's bigger radiator and bigger fan. There's free flow air intake. So like the actual air box itself, there's a redesigned turbo, revised exhaust system with an active valve for higher RPM. The shift lever is stiffer, and there's an updated shift gate pattern for better position. And the brakes got better cooling and also updated booster for better feel. So there's a lot of tinkering underneath as well to make this, I would assume, a better performance vehicle.
Yeah, because that seems to be, we talked about it before, and 9 horsepower and 15 pounds-feet doesn't sound like a lot, and it really isn't because I think they were putting out a little bit too much power in the previous generation in the FK8, where it couldn't keep up. Like, yes, you can put out great numbers to sell your car, which they needed ultimately, right? Because if the car had under 300 horsepower, people were like, hey, it's 2018, 2019. We expect more than 300 at least.
Yeah.
But they kind of forced that in there, and as a result, the car could not keep up cooling wise. And I'm seeing that at track days now. Like, you used to see so many Type R's, and they've all kind of died off. There's maybe like two or three guys that attend consistently, but most of the Type R's that I know uh, were kind of heavily into tracking early on have shifted away from that platform because you're maxing out your coolant gauge every time you do maybe 3 laps at any circuit. So just there's no point. The car, you know, numbers cars, it's great and all for a sales team, but realistically, the car has to consistently perform. And that's why I love the Supra so much, is that it doesn't matter how hot it is. It can just keep going lap after lap as long as you give it tires. But that's kind of on you if you don't give it tires. But a lot of cars in I think the last 2 decades even have suffered from this problem where they set great numbers, great 0 to 60, great quarter mile, and can even run a respectable lap time. If you give Randy Popes the keys, but realistically, if you're running a track day where you need to run 15, maybe 20 minutes at a time, most of these cars don't survive. And the FK8 was one of them where it can, like, you don't really see them blow up, but you're overheating those cars pretty bad. And long term, there's definitely it's not a confidence inspiring feeling. And people that are obsessed with the platform, the fanboys, are going to try this, and you know the real world performance really matters. And that's where I'm worried about a car like the GR Corolla. A lot of people haven't everyone's hyping it up because cars that review well, that journalists test well when they do their track tests, whatever, it means nothing in the real world. And I want to like reiterate that because the Supra is terrible. The Supra out of the box is one of the worst sports cars I've ever driven for the money. And you just have to give it, it's how good it is as a platform. Because if you expect to go out there with stock brakes, stock tires, and perform well and stock alignment, it's just not going to happen. But there's little things that you have to do to any car, that isn't like a GT car or a McLaren or a Ferrari that you can just hop onto the track. Most street cars, you have to do a lot of little tinkering. It's not expensive. It's probably, maybe 2-3 grand of work to get it kind of performing reliably. But the Type R is one of these cars that needs a lot more than 2-3 grand of work to keep the temperatures reasonable. And so, yeah, the GR Corolla is that car that I'm really worried about. I think it's going to be one of these, every journalist is going to review it super well. They're going to be like, this is so fun. And will it actually perform? I kind of doubt it, honestly. I have
Well,
my
for
doubts.
that one lap, it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's gonna test well, but will it realistically survive genuine track abuse from a seasoned track driver? Right, like a novice will hop into it and have fun all day long. Like, oh, this car is great. But I mean, people that are very into tracking, will they actually enjoy that car? Will they not blow it up? So yeah, I think that's why the Type R, we're only seeing a 9 horsepower increase, is because reliability is key here.
Mm-hmm. It definitely seems like that's the main focus here, like making it better overall rather than just giving it power, because
Yeah,
it
rather than just
it really
numbers.
didn't need it.
Mhm.
Let's move on from that. Speaking of power, though, here's another company that loves power: Dodge. So this is the second of the 7 last call models. It's their special edition models before they're killing off the Charger and Challenger. The first one, we didn't really talk about it because it wasn't that important. It was the shakedown model. I mean, it had some graphics on it. That was really it. But this one is interesting enough. It's the Super B. Yes, the Super B name is back and comes in 2 colors and 2 body style. So it's based off the Scat Pack, or previously known as the SRT, Plum Crazy for the wide body, or B5 Blue for the standard body. Standard body carries 275 sections, where the wide body has 315 drag radial on the back. 315 drags.
So that is using the normal SRT, well, not the Hellcat motor.
Not Hellcat. Yeah. So this is standard SRT motor, naturally aspirated, but it's going to be wide body with maximum traction in the rear, because it also has adaptive dampers with a drag mode. So it's designed really for, that weight transfer during that initial launch. I mean, to me, kind of cool. I always liked the Charger, and there's going to be another one's going to be released on September 7th. So in a week's time, we'll see another special edition.
And the wide body is really nice. This is gonna be basically a Demon, but without the full-on Demon motor.
Basically.
Yeah.
Cool. No pricing information at this moment. I was on Dodge's website. SRT wide body is like 60 grand right now, Canadian. So I would assume this would be a little bit more than that. Hopefully not too much more, because it's actually, for the car that you get, it's actually not bad value.
Because demons go for like
100
over,
120, I think
well
it was.
over 100
MSRP anyways.
Yeah,
I mean,
used ones are even harder.
You can't buy one anyway.
But
so.
Hellcats were a good deal, right? We were talking about it last week, I think. You can get an early Hellcat for like under 70.
Used one, yeah.
But you don't want a used Hellcat, I feel like. That's one of those cars, like, I could see myself getting like the Jeep, the Trackhawk, but a Challenger or a Charger, I think those are going to be very abused.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind just a regular SRT Jeep or the SRT Durango. I don't need the 700 horsepower. Give me the 500, I'll be happy. But let's move on from that. Audi. They are heading into Formula One for 2026. So this is actually kind of interesting here. You know, they don't really need to go to Formula One. I think, if I remember correctly, they're abandoning one racing that they're doing. I can't remember which one they're abandoning, but they're abandoning one to go to Formula One. And the launch livery that they're showing off here, it looks amazing. This typical kind of black, silver, and red color scheme that they got going on looks really, really cool.
Yeah, looks sweet. So hybridization. So that is, Audi's always been talking about, hey, we are an engineering company, and we, it's whatever their Vorsprung Technik thing, and the pinnacle of engineering's got to be Formula One. So it makes sense from a branding perspective that, hey, if we're gonna talk about how great our engineering is, why are we not involved in this racing? Which is the biggest arena as far as racing goes. Like, people that aren't even into cars are into Formula One. I'm into cars and I'm not into Formula One.
I don't have time to watch all the Formula One races.
Yeah, just the highlights from time to time.
I watch the highlights because that's interesting.
Yeah.
When overtake happens and an incident was to happen, that's interesting. But I can't sit there for like 2, maybe even 3 hours to watch an entire race, especially at the times they generally are at like 4 or 5 in the morning. I'm sorry, I got better things to do. I got a kid to take care of.
Yeah, I wonder what this will. I mean, it will take a few years for this to really catch on, and Audi's gonna hire probably some hot driver. Don't know who it is.
Yeah, no driver
No
announcement.
rumors yet.
There's a bunch of rumors, but nothing concrete at all.
Right. So I'm wondering how this will affect their streetcars, if they're planning. I mean, it would only make sense to build something similar to like a NSX, that kind of, a
Yeah.
hybrid
Well,
supercar.
They did say that they're not doing their own team. That's the main thing, right? So the thing is, they're going to be providing their engines for a team. So like Red Bull or whoever is going to take one of their engines as the engine supplier. So like this kind of concept F1 car that we see here, there's nothing to do with what's actually going to happen. It's just like a livery that they want to show off, but they will provide powertrain to at least one team, and that's the thing.
At least one.
At least one. I mean, they canceled their relationship with Alfa Romeo because they said that they will cancel their commercial and technical partnership with Alfa Romeo at the end of the 2023 season. So it's likely Sauber, I think that's how you pronounce it. That's the team that will use Audi because they were using Alpha. But nothing is certain. So I guess we'll see by 2026. Yeah. Anyways, moving on to something not quite as expensive, but still quite expensive. Shelby. Shelby has released a package, not a car, but a package called Code Red. What this is you bring your GT500 to Shelby, and you also give them $210,000. $210,000 on top of your Shelby GT500. They'll make it a 1,300 horsepower vehicle. It's not the best price to performance. You're giving 210,000 on top of a GT500, so basically 300K, if not more than that, to get a 1,300 horsepower vehicle. I mean, if you
Yes.
really want a 1300 horsepower vehicle, get a GTR. You can get more for less. But what this is it's a very limited production, 30 units. So for each year, 2020, 2021, and 2022, the GT500s that were out, they're limiting 10 of each to create this cold red. And there's more than just power. They take away that supercharger that you normally have. They replace it with 2 turbos. You get a blueprinted Nelson Racing engine with dual feed fuel system. Like there's a whole bunch of other stuff and carbon fiber, everything. So like they're doing quite a bit to it, but still at $210,000 and you're giving away your
That doesn't
GT500.
even include the car. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. Oh, and 1300, that's on E85. On pump gas, it's about 1,000
Ooh.
plus. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the GT500 just as it is. I think it's like it's a right amount of crazy. It's a right amount of wide body, and I love the overall look. I just don't want one for Ferrari money.
Hmm.
It's-
Yeah.
yeah, straight line speed is not that appealing.
I the thing is for me, I thought the GT500 was already pretty bonkers.
Yeah,
Like I
it had the right amount of power, I feel like.
yeah, the 500 I think it's good enough. Like personally, the 350 that's already really good.
I think this is just like people that are very set in their ways and they just want to deny that a Model S Plaid is faster. So they have to, but while burning like, you know, an insane amount of fossil fuels to get there, but this might actually beat a Model S Plaid in a straight line with
I don't know. It's
on the 85.
on E5 maybe with some better tires because
Yeah.
I mean
It will
it's
probably
on.
stop better than the Plaid.
I mean, unless a Plaid goes off track and hits something, might stop better. But but yeah, 20 by 13 rear wheels on 345 30/20.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty big tire in the back, but it's still just well, it looks like a performance tire more than a drag tire, which this is kind of like a drag car, a 1300 horse,
Yeah.
right? Like it's
The
not
the
really.
picture, it looks like a Michelin, maybe a Cup 2. Yeah, looks like a Cup 2,
Hmm.
which is okay, but
Oh, the Motec M150. So you get rolling anti-lag too. So as
ooh.
you're driving along the highway, you're going pum 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 pum.
Well, the turbos are mounted very low down.
Yeah.
'Cause the beauty of the supercharger is that you could just keep building your hood higher and higher, so the power bulge. But the turbos are like next to the oil pan.
Yeah, it's quite low. You might be
Yeah,
able to see on the bottom of the car.
that's crazy. Just have to be really careful going over like construction. Yeah,
It's fine. It's totally fine. But
yeah.
how about this? This engine in the Raptor.
Oh yeah.
See
You wouldn't
that?
have to worry about the clearance on the
That
turbo.
would be fun, right? Like, I mean, they already strapped the GT500 engine into the Raptor. This shouldn't be that much harder. I
No.
don't know. I think this is kind of like over the top, but hey, when you're only making 30, it has to be over the top, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and guys will heat it up because it's got a Shelby badge on it. It's it's a proper Shelby build.
Hmm.
It's not some barn build,
Yeah.
which yeah.
Well, I mean, if 30 cars, you just think, it's too many. I like to be a lot more exclusive than that. How's 18 cars sound? Because Bentley has you covered. The Mulliner, I don't know how to pronounce their names
Mature.
properly, so I'm gonna butcher it. I think it's Batur
Yeah.
or Batter. I'm not sure. Anyways, it's essentially the Conti GT with bling on it.
Yeah, and
This
just a
is
whole different look.
yeah, it's completely reworked, but it's limited to 18 units. There's bunch of carbon fiber, titanium, sustainable natural fibers, even 3D printed 18 karat gold on this vehicle.
Yeah.
And it's the most powerful Bentley in history with over 1,000 Newton meters of torque, which is, I don't know what that is in pound feet. It's a lot, but it has 729 horsepower or 740 PS. 2 million USD.
740 pound-feet.
Yeah, that's a good amount.
Yeah. It's a very unique look. It doesn't really look like any other Bentley that we've seen. It almost looks like a Jag from some angles. Although don't let Bentley hear you say that. I think yeah, you guys have to look at it to see it. So it's a Bentley BATUR, Bentley Batur. It's they're making 18 and 16 of them are going to sit in some rich Middle Eastern guy's garage or Sultan of Brunei's garage and just collect dust. Like you're not really going to see these. They'll probably bring it out at like Pebble Beach kind of type of concourse show. But it is kind of nice because it's just like it's a different look. I like seeing that because the Continental GT looks unchanged for almost 2 decades now, right? Like they've done a lot of revisions to it. They've released different models, but the GT look that is also carried over to the Bentayga, that overall the vibe of that is from the early 2000s, right? So I think it's a good departure for Bentley to just be like, hey, I want to do something different. This looks different. Still has some Bentley character to it. And yeah, the W12 motor is very special.
Well,
So
it's basically the last of their W12, right? Because with the electrification coming along, there's not going to be a lot more W12 engines, if any, right? So like this is probably going to be one of the last ones.
yeah.
I do like the headlights. I'm a big fan of lights in general. The Bentley Conti GT always had like these round lights with jewels inside them. But for this Mulsanne Batir, they're taking the wings off of the Bentley and made
Yeah.
those headlights. It just
Yeah.
looks so
It
exquisite.
has a face to it, like an angry cat, like some kind of
Th-
panther or
they're
jaguar.
not
Like
gonna like this, but it looks to me it reminds me of a pig because the snout is huge in the center, and there's a line in the middle that
so
completely cross section it.
it is. It's the whole like the way I see it. It's the whole mouth like
Yeah.
gaping to like just it's a predator. Um, but yeah, no, I like this. It's very aggressive, which is kind of nice departure. And it
The
smooths
rear is a
out
little weird
overall.
though.
The rear is classy.
I don't think it matches the front as much. Like
I
how
don't know.
the
I think the front and rear just looks like a Jag to me. Yeah.
well the how the rear end kind of slopes down and it curves down. It doesn't have that Bentley feel to me because the Bentley always had a deck lid that kind of kicks up a little bit.
Yeah.
So this just looks a little bit odd.
Yeah. It's all smoothed out.
Hmm
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
I mean, not like I can
Moving
afford it
on.
anyways. But yeah, 2 million US dollars, 18 units. I'm pretty sure they're all sold by now. But yeah, let's move on from that. We have another car that I cannot afford. Lamborghini decides to take the wraps off a better version of the Urus. Just in case if the current Urus is not good enough, you can now get a Performante version of the Urus. So
Yes.
they done a lot of work to it. So there's a bunch of carbon bits like carbon hood, carbon everything. And they ditched the air suspension for steel springs. All that carbon, ditching air suspension, loses 104 pounds. Doesn't seem like a lot.
It really does not. Because I would think, well, okay, the carbon roof and the hood, those are up top, so that is something that has more of an effect because it's high up. But yeah, 100 pounds is, that's a passenger. Like it's really,
A very small passenger too. Like
yeah, that's a very small passenger. It's not going to change that much, but
no.
obviously aerodynamics as the overall package goes, it will transform the car. And ultimately, there's not that much you can do to
Yeah.
a road going car. You could delete the rear seats. You could that would be crazy if you could build a
Get-
Performante that with a rear seat delete and a cage instead. That would be kind of insane. But like a track special Performante, it doesn't make sense, but it
but
also
it's a
makes sense
but it's a Lamborghini. It
because it's
never made
over the top.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
because this car,
that would be more of what a Performante version would be.
yeah, it's
Maybe.
never about the backseat luxury of a Lamborghini, anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, for this, okay, so it's $35,000 more than a regular Urus.
Mhm.
Guess how much more horsepower you get?
Well, I know how much horsepower
Oh,
you
you're
get.
already looking at? Oh, damn.
Yeah,
Okay. 16 more horsepower. Doesn't seem like a lot for $35,000 more. That's just me.
well, okay, 35,000 to get a carbon roof, carbon hood, and kind of special suspension. It's a special model. It looks more focused, better wheels and stuff. I think it's
I'm,
actually not bad. 35,000.
I'm sure it'll be worth it in time because when it comes to resell it, it's like, oh, this is the Performante. That's, that
Yeah,
next level. But what I'm saying is like, as an overall package, sorry, if we're just looking at the numbers of 16
power,
horsepower,
100
104
pounds.
pounds lighter, that doesn't seem like 35
Yeah.
grand worth of upgrades.
You know what would be sick if we had a two-door Urus? Just give us a short wheelbase, like not crazy short, but like maybe like 4 inches shorter wheelbase, and then we'll ditch the back seats. It'll just be it'll be like that bowler wildcat thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, like
Well,
that type of
kind of
aesthetic.
like the Bowler Wildcat. This has a rally mode. So there's the center diff has been revised, allowing more power to be sent to the rear with this rally mode. So you can take this around like a bowler. Maybe
Well,
you don't
except
want to do that
this
with those
model is
22
now
inch wheels.
lower.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got lower profile tires. It's got more ground effects on the aero,
yeah.
and it's physically lower. It's almost an inch lower than the normal Performant or the normal Urus. But we're doing a rally mode. It doesn't really make sense
Well,
because
I
this is
mean,
like a
wouldn't you
track
want to
mode car.
rally on 23-inch
Yeah,
Trofeo R's?
but what the rally mode really is a drift mode, I
Mm,
think, because it's sending more power to the back, and yeah, it for the kind of guys that are crazy enough to take something like this onto a track, I think you got to look at it as a drift mode.
yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
no, I
sense.
think the 35, it's actually not crazy.
It's not crazy, but I I've sat inside an Urus and it didn't feel. It's just me,
It's just a
maybe.
better Q8,
Yeah, it didn't
slightly.
really feel like a $200,000 SUV.
Yeah.
And the shifter, like when I first got into it, I was like, "There's no drive. How do you put it in
Oh,
drive?"
okay. Yeah. Well, that is every Lamborghini, I think. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you just gotta press the pedal on the right to put it into drive. I'm like, but why? There's a big, and it's a big shifter in the center too. Like it's not just like this tiny thing. It's a huge shifter right in the center, but it does not let you put that in. Anyways, that's
Mhm.
Lamborghini things.
I think the Urus at least has like normal turn signals. Yeah. Like
Uh,
the Huracan uses a motorcycle turn signal on the steering wheel.
Oh,
Yeah. It's
so
a
it's
button.
is it the button left and right in the
Yeah,
middle
middle
to cancel?
Yeah,
Perfect.
just like my BWS scooter. But it's because the paddles are huge on the
Yeah,
Hellcat.
it would block it. That totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. Well, let's talk about another vehicle that we can't afford. Well, I can't afford it anyway, so I'm sure you can't, Justin, because you already have it as your wallpaper. But it's the
That is the standard
yeah,
of affordability.
if you can have it on your wallpaper, you can get it. It's the 2024 Koenigsegg CC850. This thing is crazy. So, okay, so the CC850 is the 20th anniversary of Koenigsegg, and it's also to celebrate Mr. Koenigsegg's birthday.
Christian von Koenigsegg.
Where the heck did I put that? Oh, his
That
50th
is
birthday.
that is the most mind-blowing stat on this whole article and this news story is that Christian von Koenigsegg is only 50 and he started this company 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, well, not started this company. He
started a long time
rolled
ago.
out.
Yeah.
He rolled out the car 20 years ago. But
Yeah.
he's been doing this for a while. So he's been doing this in his 20s.
Yeah.
Like that is mind-blowing to me.
So Justin, what have you been doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like this Swedish man, this bald man with no eyebrows has achieved so much. Like he's worked so hard in his young age that he lost all his hair and his eyebrows, and because he needs to go 300 miles an hour, which this thing will do.
It's actually kind of crazy. This thing, okay, so first of all, this is the first Koenigsegg ever that's designed not to break any records. And that, to me, it's actually kind of cool because then it's like an expression of the brand, what they can do with it. This CC850 is like a heritage model to the original CCX that they have built 20 years back. But it's like, it looks like it, but it's not based on it. It's actually based on the Jesko. This thing has a 5-liter V8 twin turbo, almost 1400 horsepower on E85. But that's not the coolest part. The coolest part is the transmission. This thing has a manual, but it's a shift-by-wire manual.
Yeah, it has a clutch pedal.
It has a clutch pedal, so you can drive it normally. And depending on the mode that you have it in, like this six
it's got a
slot
H
shifter
pattern, six speed, and then far to the right and back there's a D.
There's a D mode,
so you just drive it like an automatic.
You can, like when you're tired, you can put it into automatic. But there's 9 ratios in this 6 slotted H shifter. So depending on the mode you're on, it changes between those 9 ratios to better suit that driving mode. Like, this is all built in-house. This guy, he's insane. Like, a lot of people is like, oh, Elon Musk is a visionary. No. Compared to Christian von Koenigsegg, this guy is crazy.
This guy is nuts. Like, he built like a no camshaft engine just because.
Yeah,
like,
he put that into a Saab. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was like a Saab 9.5.
There's so much cool stuff, and then they're just like, "Hey, we're gonna build like a 4-seater supercar with like a giant swinging door," and he did it. Like it's just, and all of the products are cool. Like as a kid, I'm like, this thing looks kind of odd. Like the CCR and the CCX.
Yeah, the front windshield was always like, it just reminded me of a helmet.
Front heavy. It's very much like a fish. Like the front is tall and then it kind of tapers back, and then now it just looks sweet. Like they look amazing.
Yeah, this kind of, it's almost like they did a Singer, kind of what Singer does to like the 930s and whatnot, because it looks brand new, but it also looks retro. It's so cool. We'll never see one. Only 50 will be built. Don't have a price on here, but I'm sure they're all sold and they're all gone.
The speedometers is worth talking about. They've taken wait for it, an iPhone SIM card tray tool, and they built it into this speedometer.
Oh, did they do that? I
You
didn't
need to
even see that.
zoom. There is a close. Oh, the next picture. Next picture. That's all
Oh,
I can see. You guys gotta.
wait.
You guys gotta look up Koenigsegg CC850 dials or a speedometer, and it's just there is probably what 8 or 9 of these iPhone SIM card tray
There's
tools.
8 of them. They're okay, so they're not actually iPhone SIM tray ejector tools, but they 100% look like it, or like paper clips. Like
Yeah.
it's super weird.
And then the middle cluster is 3 different things. You have your speed, which tops out at 420 kilometers an hour.
Of course.
Your RPM, which tops out at 8,000. I don't know. I don't really see where the red line is.
Don't
And then
need
your
one.
boosts, all in one gauge. It's got 3 separate dials on one gauge, which is really cool. Very hard to read, but very cool.
Yeah, when you're going that fast, you don't need to see your gauges. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
you're not looking down. You're
Yeah.
looking. You need to look like 150, maybe 300 feet ahead. Like at least maybe a football field ahead.
Yeah, when you're
'Cause
going that speed.
when you're going 400, because this thing does what 310 miles per hour, I think is the top speed.
It's something ridiculous.
Yeah, it's what is 310?
So the CC850, just like the original CCXR, it can swallow the roof. It's crazy that they're still able to put this in. That entire roof canopy, you lift the front of the vehicle up, it swallows it inside. And when you lift it up, like you just get carbon everywhere. This car was at Pebble Beach just like a week or 2 ago, and like I had people like sending it to me, and they're like, "This is the best thing ever." And honestly, it really is amazing.
Top speed is 390 kilometers an hour.
I mean, that's quick. That's quick enough, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I need anything quicker than that.
Yeah, it's so cool. The clamshell.
You get automatic climate control, Bluetooth connectivity, Apple CarPlay, custom lighting.
I wonder if they have a semi-automatic mode where you don't have to use the clutch pedal, but you still get to row your own gears like that Alfa Romeo.
That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But no information of that. But
But
like
he's gone past that. Okay, so the 6-speed, like the H pattern, is kind of perfect, right? When you go up to 7-speed, it's awkward.
Right.
So I get like this is like the Koenigsegg thinking. It's like we want this pattern, but 6 speeds is not enough. For a car with this performance, this kind of top speed, 6 speeds is not enough. So then they go and rework it and then give you just a bunch of different ratios. Like it's insane. It's like a bicycle. How you have you have one shifter and then you have another one kind of controlling the final drive, I guess, would be what's being changed. But yeah, that is insane. And the whole car is carbon fiber. The whole interior, all you see is carbon fiber. Yeah. Pretty nuts. Nuts. I really want to see one. I really want to touch one, and I don't know if I would really want to drive one, but
I don't want to be the one that's driving it, because like I
don't want to be like the Stig on Top Gear, spinning it.
Oh, and then like eating a tire.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be the guy that's responsible. But I would love to like get up close and personal.
Just
to,
be
like,
in the presence of it and then row that shifter. I don't even need to drive it. Just let me touch it. Let me see the gauges move a little bit. The iPhone and tray tools. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Motor Trend estimates $3.1 million. Honestly, isn't that
sounds
much.
like a good value.
It
compared
really isn't
to like
that much.
We were talking about this maybe probably about half a year ago. That Gordon Murray car,
yeah,
with the insane price tag, and it just looks like a kit car. right? Like, what does Gordon Murray want to sell his supercar thing? The T50.
It
Gordon
was a
Murray,
T50 and then the T30. The T50 is the expensive one.
the T50, $3 million. Where did
Yeah,
he get this Koenigsegg?
yeah.
Which looks like it's worth, like, you know, it's weird to talk about value when you're talking about a multi-million supercar, but this car, the engineering and the design and the materials and everything is just, and now even the history behind it is awesome. Like for 3 million,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's totally worth it. If I had that kind of money, I definitely would pick one up.
yeah,
Because for $3 million, that's nothing compared to our next topic, which is a $5 million Bugatti. So Bugatti released this thing called a
Mistral.
I think it's mistrial. I don't know. Anyways, it's basically the Chiron. I was going to say Veyron, but it's a Chiron with unique bodywork and the roof cut off of it. $5 million. 99 will be produced. So get the French flag on the just behind the wheel, just to let you know that it's a French car made by a German car company.
Mhm.
I mean, it looks pretty cool. That's what I can say about it. But is this $5 million worth of car when you can get the CC850 for 3 mil? Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, the Bugatti name is more of a household name, so I get it. And they're very exclusive about who they'll sell it to, and this thing is pretty cool too.
It
I
is.
have to admit, like it's got its own look, it's got its own interior, and the interior is very,
Well, the interior is exact same as the Chiron. There's
yeah,
there's no difference there. It's just the exterior that they changed.
yeah,
But
but it's like
but it's
it's
still
got
a
its
nice
own,
interior.
yeah, it's just got a presence to it, and I mean, a Chiron is also the same price, so.
Is it?
Or
Is
it's
the
up
Chiron
there.
also 5 mil?
I don't know.
I have no idea how much a Bugatti is. Not a question I've ever had to ask.
How do you like this look though, with the more vertical headlight and
So
just a lean back look?
headlight is kind of weird, in my opinion. I think the Chiron looks a little bit better than
I
this.
like the Chiron look. Yeah,
Yeah, because the Chiron just looks more classy than
yeah.
this.
The big thing for me that you just lose when you cut the roof off is I love the Chiron has that loop that
That big
connects,
C.
the big C, yeah, which you just don't get it in this. Like this just looks like any other kind of supercar.
Yeah, that scoop
Chiron
doesn't
is,
it doesn't do justice to what it's supposed to
yeah.
look.
This is nice, but it's not that unique. Yeah,
The tail lights, though, once again,
those are kind of
in love
cool.
with lights. Those tail lights look really cool.
True.
Kind of that V on both sides, Bugatti illuminated in the center. I mean, the Chiron lights are kind of cool because they're kind of like floating in the center, but definitely not
Hmm.
as cool as this.
Does this thing have a roof?
There's no pictures of it. I mean, when you're spending $5 million, does it matter?
Yeah, you must have a car that does have a roof.
Oh no, that's your Chiron. That's for days that you need a roof.
Yeah,
You got your
or a
Chiron.
rainy day. I'm sure they will approach everyone that already has a Chiron and ask them if they want to buy one first.
Oh,
And
I'm sure it's already sold out by now.
oh
Like with
yeah,
any of these supercars or hypercars, really, they're gone by now. You can't
mhm.
really um get much more. But yeah, if you want a mistrial, I don't know.
Ugh.
See, the problem with a lot of these fancy cars is I just can't pronounce them. I mean, unless you have an American car company that I can, like
Yes,
Lucid Air Sapphire.
I
What
know
a
all three of those words.
those are normal words in my dictionary that I can pronounce. So
Yeah.
Lucid Air, this is a great car company as well. Motor Trend Car of the Year because, I mean, they just proven themselves to be better than other EV companies, like that Elon guys. So the Sapphire, this is the one that's supposed to kind of compete against the Plaid from Tesla. So it now has tri-motors, so 3 of them, giving 1,200 horsepower, $250,000. The 3 motors is 1 in the front, 2 in the rear, and it gives the rear torque vectoring as well. 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, 0 to 100 in 4, a quarter mile in under 9 seconds. 0 to 100 takes 4 seconds.
100 miles.
100, yeah, that's 100 miles per hour. 4 seconds. That's mind blowing. In 4 seconds, like, let's say a fast car, like a brand new BMW M3, 4 seconds, that's them hitting just around 60,
100 kilometers.
Right? Yeah. Another 60 more miles per hour. Or, sorry, 40 more miles per hour. It's the Lucid. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But, okay, so unlike the Tesla like Plaid, where they just give you more power and they're like, here, and here's a steering wheel that you can't use. Lucid Air Sapphire is more traditional, but they have actually gone in and done some like actual work to make it, well, a car that you can actually drive and handle that power. So there's new suspension knuckles, increasing the front track width by 12 millimeters and the rear by 24 millimeters. There's retuned suspension with new springs, anti-roll bars, as well as dampers. There's special Michelin formulated Pilot Sport 4S's. So what it does is it gives low rolling resistance on the inside, but then on the outside, you get Cup 2 type materials for improved grip. So when you're turning, you get that Cup 2 grip, but when you're rolling in a straight line, low rolling resistance. That's nice. That's actually really, really smart. 265s in the front, 295s in the rear. In terms of exterior changes, there's really small fender flares, but you probably won't be able to see them too nicely within the pictures here. Comes in black. Oh, sorry. There's black and dark gray trim pieces on the outside rather than the silver that you get on the regular Lucid Airs. On the inside, you get sports seats with larger bolsters, Alcantara wrapped steering wheel, as well as the digital cluster has a blue hue to it.
Hence the Sapphire name.
Like the overall package, this is much more compelling than
the Plaid.
And
it's even more compelling than, I would say, a Taycan.
Oh, absolutely. A Taycan, I don't think a Taycan, like, the performance isn't there, the space isn't there. A Lucid Air, like, it has all of that in one. The only thing is just the price point. Lucid Air Sapphire, 325 Canadian dollars. Model S Plaid is 176. It is quite a bit more money.
It's almost double.
Is it worth it?
I mean, if you're shopping for a $200,000 luxury sedan EV thing, is that a stretch? Like, I feel like you have expectations about your car. You want it to feel nice inside, and that's one of the things that the Model S really lacks. It's not about price, it's not about performance. It's just, how do you feel getting into it? And do you feel like you bought yourself a $200,000 car? If you're just buying it for the infrastructure of the Tesla supercharging network, well, you can get yourself a $60,000 Model 3, right? Like,
still seems like so much for a Model 3.
The interior quality is only about as good as a Model 3, right? Like, that's the issue with the Plaid, is that it doesn't stand out in terms of overall quality. And that's kind of the whole Lucid mission, is to just show people, hey, there's a better way to do this.
Yeah.
Because I don't think when you're shopping in this price range, that price really matters. You just want the best. I don't think plaid buyers are really crunching numbers and stuff like, hey, how much gas can I save? Will this be cost effective?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're spending 100,000, anything north of 100,000, you're no longer thinking of, value. You're thinking of how much glitz and glamour can I get on top of it.
Yeah. And you know what? To be fair, people that are shopping for this type of vehicle, they're used to, at least a Panamera, an S-Class, this type of interior, where you step out of one of those and you get into a Model S and it's just like, wow, I'm in like a base model, A3 interior. When I'm used to sitting in, flagship level cars.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that is a big thing. I don't think the infrastructure or anything really matters. So I would like to see this thing take some good market share. I want to see some vehicles move. Want to see some racing and lap times and just it's competition at the end of the day, which is all good. I think. But yeah, the price point is definitely high, but I don't think it matters.
Yeah, 327,500. So it's a little bit of money. Wonder if I can get a base model Lucid Air. What's the
Yeah.
cheapest one you can get? The Pure?
Yeah. Well, and to my point as well, this thing at 300K does not have a 300K interior. This thing at 100K has a really nice interior. 300K, not so much.
A base model is 127.
Yeah. At that price point, everything makes sense for the technology, the quality, the overall presence of the vehicle. It makes a lot of sense. At 320K, starts to die off a little bit, but if you want the best, this is probably it for now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool.
I think that's really it for this week. Anything else you want to tack on?
I think that is it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. We'll be back next week for more automotive news. Take care, everyone.